We are picking up in Animate on page 62, Adjust Alpha Transparency. We're going to be putting in the accent marks above the wheels. This is going to be done with your choice of tool. My particular choice is the pen tool because I like the control that I have. And I locked all of the other layers except for the accent layer. I have turned the body to outlines. Make sure that whichever tool you decide to use, that you are using the object mode so that you can pick that up again after you've completed drawing, and then you'll be able to change the colors. I'm going to do my drawings, and there's no point in you watching me do that, and I'll be back as soon as I have that completed. Okay, so I have drawn my accents in, and even though I am positive that I use the object drawing mode, when I try to pick up the object, there is no bounding box on it. So I'm going to drag across and select it, go into object, and change this to an object. This one I've got as an object already. Now comes coloring this. So we'll pick up both of these objects, and we want to give that a fill of white, and we're going to change the alpha because we want it transparent. Let's change our alpha value to 50%, and we want no stroke on here. And now let me reveal my body, and you can see that I now have the highlights placed in. We have a few more lines that we're going to put in. So put the body back into outlines. We have this line that runs across the body that we're going to be adding. We'll pick up the line tool for that. Again, you're working in object drawing mode. The stroke color for this should be white, which is going to be difficult to see, but we'll adjust that later. It's a 1-point line with a 50% alpha. And let's zoom in here and put those lines in. So I can see what I'm doing, kind of, sort of, there. So let me draw this line in, which reaches to that lower point, and then it doesn't look like my object was on. So let me undo those. Then I can go back in with my selection tool, and I can arc that so that it matches the line of the body. And because it's a little difficult to see, let me turn the body back on, and I should be able to go in now and adjust that line and get the curves that I was looking for. And now we're going to take and select all three of these lines, modify, shape, and convert lines to fills. Now we can go back to modify again, shape, and soften fill edges. We're going to change the distance on that to 2 pixels and number of steps to 4 with expand, and say OK. The next thing we're going to be doing is putting the drop shadow in under the vehicle. You're going to use the body layer, so I'm going to select that and turn off my lock. I want to pick up the classic brush. I think the classic brush is going to be the easiest one to use. We want to select the paint behind mode, pick up a medium gray fill. The alpha should be back to 100%. The brush size, let's pick the round brush, and I'm not going to use that large of a brush because the big brush is this big. That's not what you need. So take something in about the around 30 pixels, somewhere in there, and make sure that you are in the object drawing mode, and you're just going to squiggle in that little bit of a drop shadow. You can do this over if you're not happy with what you do to begin with. I've not been happy with mine in the past. And there is our drop shadow, more or less. Next, we're going to pick up the selection tool. I don't know why we didn't do this the first time. You're going to edit, cut, put in a new layer, move that below the body layer, name it shadow, and you're going to paste in place. Next, we're going to apply some gradients in there to give our glass on our window a little better look. If you have your window layer locked, unlock it. Otherwise, select the window layer. And then in your color panel, first of all, let's make sure that the fill is active. And you're going to apply the gradient to it. So let's get the swatches up, and we're going to apply the radial black and white to the window. Now we're going back into the color panel, and we're going to put a stop in the center of that panel, and we're going to adjust where the gradient runs. So now with our body color, we're going to again pick up the swatches and apply that linear gradient. In my color panel, I did not get a repeat of that extra stop put in there, so you don't need to pull that out unless you have yours carry over. We only need the white and the black color stop. Double click the left end, the white one, and pick up the dark red that you were using. Double click the right color stop and choose the same dark red, but this time we're going to drag the brightness down from 60% to, let's try about 10. We're going to go back to the window, and we're going to transform the gradient that we put in. If you don't have your gradient tool, it should be nested under your free transform. Mine's not there, so I do have to go back into the tools and add the gradient transform tool. Picking up the window shape, we're going to get that same slider that we're used to seeing in Illustrator or in InDesign when you're working with gradients. You can click the center point now and slide that up so that the center point is at the top of the window. And we're going to flatten that a little bit more so you can grab the center handle and pull that in to make a narrower gradient. Then we're going to find the rotation and click on it and angle this a little bit. And you can check the gradient size and drag out to enlarge the adjusted gradient. So that's going to be this one. That's going to drag the whole thing and make it larger. Now we're going to adjust the car body with the same gradient tool. Now because we are dealing with a linear rather than a radial, we have a box shape this time. Click the gradient rotation handle, which should be the upper corner, and rotate this 90 degrees so that the darkest part is towards the bottom. Yeah, it's going to run off the screen. So you're going to have to zoom out so that you can make adjustments. And then with the width handle, let's go in a little bit further. That's rotation, that's width. Should be able to drag this up and bring this in so that we are narrowing this. So it should be just about the same size as what the artwork is. And then if you click the center and drag down a little bit, you've adjusted the dark part of the car to be at the bottom, and you want it somewhere around 1/3 of the distance. We're going to do a little organization, so let's make a folder. We're going to call this folder Car Parts. And I'm going to drag that up to the top of the stack. We're going to select everything except for the sketch and drag that into the folder. We can then collapse the folder. Oh, I got to put the door in there and the accents in there as well. Everything should be in there in order. Yep. I'm going to lock the car parts. I can actually at this point then delete the sketch. And then we're going to export this as the image that you're going to turn in. So go to File, select Export, and it's going to be Export Image. We're going to use Export Image Legacy, which is going to give you the ability to export out either as a GIF or as a JPEG or a PNG or an SVG. We're going to select the JPEG, and I'm going to save into my folder with the same size that we were working. Use the full document size. Bump your quality to 100% if that's not where it is, because we do not have the selection in here to do the quality that they list in the book. The dialog box has changed. Say OK, and this should be the item that you're going to turn in then. Going into the folder, this is the image that I just completed. This is one that I've done earlier. I can open that up, and it's going to open Photoshop up. And there it is. If you had an image issue and you need me to see the file, turn the file in. If not, you can turn in the JPEG.